My name is Liz. I'm the registered nurse at Optimal Health Spectrums, and I'm going to be reviewing the Hcg diet with you today. This is the booklet you'll be receiving, and I'm going to go through it with you now. Let's start on page 2, the patient responsibility statement. Now, before you begin, you want to be sure to review this because you're going to be signing this as well as a consent. So, number 1, if you have some sort of medical emergency, contact 911. If something less urgent comes up, like you develop a cold while you're on the diet, contact our office immediately so that we may modify your diet plan if needed. Also, if you take medication for blood pressure or blood sugar, you're going to want to keep a log. You're going to want to monitor them regularly, keep a log, document all your levels because you're going to be submitting that to your coach every week or as needed so that the practitioner can view them, and she may want to refer you to your primary care to alter your medication dosages. Know that there is no guarantee of outcome or cure while on this diet, and that your success is dependent on your strict adherence to the diet plan. You are free to cancel the diet at any time, but if you choose to do so, your fees are not refundable. We will do a separate video on proper reconstitution and self-administration techniques later, okay? You do need to become an OHS patient first so that they can do a full workup and make sure there's no conditions that are contraindicating you to doing the diet. As with any medication, there is risk of adverse reactions, so be aware of that and know that we cannot predict how you're going to tolerate it, but overall it's tolerated very well. If there are unusual complications while on the diet, you may require more appointments with the practitioner, and other fees will apply as necessary. Patients generally start off with 3 to 4 weeks on the diet, but you can add time depending on your weight loss goals and other factors. So if you do require additional weeks, then also know that you need to notify your HCG coach at least 2 weeks in advance, and that again, the additional fees will apply to that. And this is a medically supervised diet, so your coach will be contacting you regularly. If something comes up, maybe you're experiencing some unusual symptoms, or if there's anything that you're concerned about while on the diet, or if you have any questions, do feel free to contact your coach. So let me tell you a little bit about HCG. It stands for human chorionic gonadotropin, and it's a naturally occurring hormone that's produced in large amounts in pregnant women. So for these purposes, it's used in combination with a low-calorie diet to help your body burn its fat stores for energy. The original HCG protocol was developed by Dr. Simeons in the 1950s, and Dr. Milky heard about it at an anti-aging conference. We've been using it in our clinic for several years with much success. It is generally very safe and well tolerated with very few side effects. The diet consists of 3 phases. Phase 1, transition phase. Phase 2, calorie restriction. And phase 3, maintenance phase. So in the first phase, transition phase, this is when your body is going to transition from sugar burning to fat burning mode. So on the first day, you're going to administer your first injection, and that's when you're going to have your favorite meal. Don't totally overdo it, but get that last favorite meal in. And then you're going to start working on consuming a gallon of water a day. On your second day, you're going to eat like usual, but you're going to start to eliminate sugars and carbs at dinner time. Sugars and carbs being like candy, sweets, cereal, bread, pasta, rice, that sort of thing. And then day 3, no carbs and no sugars. You need to be up to that gallon of water a day. And a good example of a meal plan for that day is going to be like a egg omelet with veggies for breakfast, and a salad with chicken and veggies for lunch. And then for dinner, you're going to have like a nice big piece of protein, like a steak, with some veggies as well. Okay, so phase 2, calorie restriction, begins on page 17 of your booklet and day 4 of your diet. So your practitioner may prescribe anywhere between 500 to 1,000 calories a day for you. So it's very important that you adhere to whatever guideline is set forth for you specifically, because it's based on your own individual needs. So if you look on page 17, there's an example of a 500 calorie day. So 2 servings of lean protein, 3.5 ounces raw each serving, 4 cups of vegetables, again, measured raw. You have the option of eating 2 fruits, and then that gallon of water a day. So if you turn to page 18 and 19, you'll see a list of all your allowed proteins. And again, you can mix and match these however you want. Just stick to your calorie guidelines. And then page 20 has your allowed fruits and vegetables. So again, mix and match them, and feel free to spread your calories out throughout the day however you want. So if you want to skip breakfast and eat a heavier lunch, that's fine. Just make sure you hit that calorie mark. Don't go over, don't go under, and get that gallon of water in each day. It's important to note that whatever guidelines are set forth for you, you don't want to get all your calories from just protein or just vegetables. You want to make sure you hit both food groups and then the fruits if you want them. And also take note that coffee and tea do not count towards your gallon of water a day. So you may wonder, how do I cook all these delicious foods? Well, on page 21, it's going to give you some tips. So keep in mind, this is a very low-fat diet. So you don't want to use any oils when you're cooking. No butters, no oils. And you can boil, bake, or grill however you want, just as long as you don't use any oils while cooking. And also, you want to be careful with what kind of seasonings you're using. You want to stick to the powder versions, like garlic powder instead of garlic salt, because a lot of the salt versions have hidden sugars in them. So always read your food labels and look for things like dextrose. And also you can cook with broths, but again, make sure that it doesn't have any sugars, any hidden sugars in the label, okay? On page 27 begins several pages of suggested recipes to use while you're on the calorie restriction. And then another great food that we consider a free food are konjac noodles, also known as miracle noodles or fiber noodles. They are derived from the konjac plant. All they are is fiber and water, and they help you feel full, they help with the constipation, and they're kind of like tofu where they'll take on the taste of whatever you put them in. So you can use them as like a spaghetti, as like the main dish, or you can even chop them up really finely and put them in your meatballs, and it gives a little extra filling to it. So those you can have as much of every day as you want. So the final phase is phase 3, maintenance phase. So this begins 3 days after your final injection and lasts for 3 weeks. So this is going to be, again, low carb, avoid the starches, avoid the sugars, but now you can start incorporating a little more healthy fats in moderation, start working your way up to your normal caloric intake. So for women, that's 11 times your current weight, men, 12 times your current weight. You can have more types of proteins, fruits, and vegetables. Just stick to the lower end of the glycemic index. And you can continue to weigh yourself every morning. And there are some tips on page 41 to prevent weight gain. But the maintenance phase is really important. It's just as important as the calorie restriction phase, because this is the phase that's going to really lock in your weight loss. So it starts on page 40 of your booklet, and there's even some recipes in here as well. And that pretty much wraps up the diet. So I hope that you find this helpful, and we wish you the best of luck, and feel free to contact us if you have any questions, and we're here to support you on your journey.